Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instructions on completing the task at hand. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I'm going to replace the inner and outer tie rod ends on a Volvo 850. Should be the same for a lot of front-wheel drive vehicles. Here are the tools that I used. I didn't need them all, but I used mainly the 18mm, 19mm sockets, 19mm boxed in, 7/8 boxed in. I think that's same as a 22mm. I used tools to jack the car up, put the car on jacks. I used that crescent wrench, torque wrench, 10 snips, pair of pliers, screwdriver to hold something, pipe wrench was necessary, snips, some blue Loctite, a brush to clean things off, brakes parts cleaner, and I used some lithium grease to lubricate the inside of that. Park the car on a smooth flat surface, break the lug nuts loose on the wheel, jack the car up, put the car on a jack stand, and then remove the front wheel from the vehicle. Next thing you want to do is break the nut loose from the outer tie rod end, that nut right there. So I brace the tie rod in because I don't want this twisting inside the rack and damaging the rack. Then I put a wrench on that bolt and I break that bolt loose. From my angle, clockwise should be loose. I think that bolt's a 22mm, a 7/8 will break it loose. Next, you want to break that bolt loose, 18mm. The very tip of it can be held by some kind of tool if you want, vice grips or something, but it may just screw down for you. And I screw it down close to the end, the bolt close to the end and flush, so that I can hit it with a hammer and knock it out of that joint. To get this out of that joint, you either got to hit the bottom of it to knock it up, or you hit the side of this part right here real hard with a small sledgehammer, and that joint will pop out. Okay, once you got the tie rod in out of the knuckle, you want to figure out a way to hold the threaded part of the inner tie rod in stable. Put a crescent wrench or something right there, and then you want to screw this off by hand and count the turns as you turn it off, because when you put the replacement one on, you want to screw it on to the same number of turns. Okay, so I'm going to hold this wrench here at about 7 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this outer tie rod end off counterclockwise, and I'm going to count the turns before it comes off in my hand. Then when I screw the new one on, I'm going to screw it on the same amount of turns, and that way it'll be close to aligned, so when I take it to an alignment shop, they shouldn't have, I shouldn't have much issue driving it there. Shouldn't tear up the tires by the time I get it to the alignment shop. Okay, so I got 1 turn, 2 turns, 3, 4. Okay, I'm at 12 turns, 13, 14, 15. On the 15th turn, on the 16th turn, it fell off. So I'm going to turn this other one on about 16 turns, and then I'm going to lock that nut on and finish installing it. As you can see, this is a TRW rack because that boot is labeled TRW. Here's the new one compared to the old one. I turned it in 16 turns, and now I'm going to, that came off, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the knuckle there, and the torque value on that is 70 Newton measures. You multiply that by 75% and you should have your foot-pounds, which people say is around 52 foot-pounds. Now, it comes with a self-locking nut, so you don't have to put any Loctite on it, and you may have to get something on the end if you have issues with it holding on. So let me go ahead and tap that down in there. I'm going to tap the top of it a couple of times with my sledge just to get it snug down. Then I'm going to torque this on to the torque value. Okay, I snugged that bolt back there down, and I torqued this one down to 52 foot-pounds. And now I'm ready to put the wheel back on and lower it to the ground. Okay, now on this side, the inner tie rod is bent. So there's really no need to take the outer tie rod apart from the inner tie rod if you're going to replace both. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that nut out there. And once that nut is out, I'm going to lift that out of the knuckle. And then I'm going to go in here and hold the part of the rack so it doesn't turn. And I'm going to twist this inner tie rod in off. Now this is what the inner tie rod looks like brand new. So you really just have this little piece that's attached to the rack in there. So most of that pole coming out of that rack is going to stay with the rack. Here's a little bit better picture of the end of the tie rod and the rack. So the joint is really right there. You really don't want the inside of that rack turning. You don't want to mess up nothing in the rack. So make sure you get something and hold that steady while you twist this part off with vice grips, channel locks, or a pipe wrench. Okay, I used a crescent to get on the flat part of the steering rack, and I had to brace it with that open end wrench against the transmission because it kept trying to turn. Then I slid this pipe wrench I have, which looks like maybe an 8 or 10 inch pipe wrench. I slid it up through this space here, got it around that joint there, and then started working it loose. Once it broke loose, it feels like it's just going to turn loose with my hand. So now I'm turning that out, and there is the inner and outer tie rod in out, and that's what's left. I'm going to wipe those threads out because they look like they have a little transmission fluid on them, because I'm going to put thread lock on them when I put the new one in. So I'm going to put some blue thread lock on these threads and twist that new one in. Now as you can see, there's a rubber band looking thing there. I don't have a new one, so I'm going to leave that one alone. I tried to wipe the dirt off of it, but I do got to dry out those threads. I do not have a new one of these. This is broken, and it looks like it fits on the end of this tie rod somehow. Maybe like that. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but I'm going to put that back on. And once I get these threads dry, I'm going to go ahead and screw this in there as tight as I can get it without damaging anything with some thread lock on it. Now this tie rod end has a flat spot on there that I could get some kind of adjustable wrench or large crescent wrench on. The only way to get those threads in there dried out is to spray them with some brake parts cleaner or some other kind of cleaner that'll dissolve the grease and dry the metal. Okay, I put the blue thread lock on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and screw it into the rack. Okay, once you get that inner tie rod as tight as you can get it, go ahead and pull this sleeve off and this nut off, and you can slide your boot on. Now, when you get a new boot and you go to slide it on, you want to put a little grease around that rim right there, so it can slide on the end of your rack there, and then you want to put a clamp on that end. Okay, I slid the boot on with a twisting motion, and the boot came with this large zip tie here. And you don't have to put the zip tie on real tight. The tie is just to keep the boot from coming back off the rack. So go ahead and wrap the zip tie or the clamp, whichever you have, around that inside of the boot. Okay, I made an oval with the zip tie, got it started. Then I slid it down the boot in place, and now I'm going to tighten it. Once I make sure it's around the boot, the whole way around in place. Okay, you get the zip tie, make sure it's all the way around the boot. You get it tight, not too tight to cut into the rubber, and then you snip off the excess end. Now you either zip tie or clamp that in. I don't see a clamp, but there's normally a clamp like that on the end that you can lock the outside of that boot on. Now it's time to put the new outer tie rod in, and you got two choices. One, you could count these threads, screw your nut on back to those many threads and screw this on, or two, you could break this loose and twist it off and count how many times it takes to twist it off. I don't know if this has been moved, so I'm gonna break this nut loose and twist that off and count how many times it takes to twist it off, and that's how I'm gonna install this next one. So my next step is to screw this bolt on the new inner tie rod in. It only had 9 turns, so I'm gonna screw this next one on that new inner tie rod in, 9 turns, and then I'm gonna lock that nut down, and hopefully alignment will be good enough to take it to get it aligned without too much pulling around on the road. Okay, I got the inner bolt tightened down. This one torqued to 52.5 foot-pounds, and now I could put the wheel on, lower the vehicle, remove the jack stand, and take the car to get a wheel alignment immediately. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.